Hello everyone, and welcome to this lecture. We're looking at gender-based violence, which is a problem that has been affecting most societies in Africa and the world at large, whereby we have to look at the reasons behind gender-based violence. So we're going to look at the definition and the causes and the ways in which you can reduce gender-based violence. So let's get started. So gender-based violence refers to harmful action directed to an individual or group of individuals, which means it's often based on the gender. It's often disproportionately affecting women and girls because these are the most vulnerable, and they're being victimized by the male counterpart. It can include physical, also sexual and psychological harm. As you know, psychological harm is one of the worst harm that can be done to a human and may manifest in various forms such as domestic violence and sexual harassment, human trafficking, and harmful cultural um, practices. So we need to look at ways in which we can address and prevent gender-based violence because it's crucial in promoting equality because we need people to be treated equally and ensuring that the well-being of the individuals, regardless of their gender, we need to be able to look at that. Everyone is supposed to have a better life without being without violence. So we are saying that stop violence against women. That's one thing that our key message of this video is about. So let's get going. So have the causes of gender-based violence. We have gender inequality. So what do you mean by gender inequality? So as you know, gender-based violence has complex causes rooted in societal, cultural, and individual factors, which means it's linked to where you're located, your culture, or also individual factors that affect you. So some key contributors will include gender inequality. We're looking at the societal norms and structures that perpetuate unequal power relations between genders can lead to violence against women and other marginalized groups. So the idea of others taking advantage of the marginalized groups, especially against women, both by culture. Even by culture, the men is considered to be the one which is powerful, so they might exert their control on the female counterpart and also causing violence on her and causing gender-based violence, whereby they are taking advantage because there's unequal power relations, whereby the people show that they have more power against them, that leading to gender-based violence, which is a huge problem that is affecting most society right now, the gender inequality. Then also have to look at cultural norms. We have what to call traditional beliefs that the man is supposed to be superior over the women, and those practices that reinforce gender stereotypes and the subordinate roles of women may contribute to the acceptance of violence, whereby they will be told that if you don't accept your man as what he is, then you're already failing your duties as a woman. You should know that he is much more stronger than you. You should listen to him, and when you don't listen to him, he beats you. It's okay. So this is some of the things, the cultural norms that has been created from the best back then in the centuries, whereby even our grandmothers they were being sexually abused by our grandfathers because they feel like their role is just to submit to the cultural norms, whereby the norms are the standards that govern the behavior in a particular society. It means they were supposed to behave in that particular way as women, just accept whatever happens and stay in that family, even through that emotional harassment or all those things that will be happening to them sexually or psychologically. So we are looking at cultural norms. They are unwritten rules of society. They are unwritten rules that are just invested deep into society, which prescribes how people should behave in different situations. It prescribes what is acceptable and what is not. So back then in the centuries, it was acceptable for men to beat women, and the cultural norms in that society were unwritten rules that were just there that you're supposed to just give in as a woman and you're not supposed to say anything. Then we have examples that we can use that wearing certain clothes or head covering in religious settings is different. Each and every country has its different cultural norms. So obeying your parents in collective culture and following your own path in the individualistic culture, there was differentiation. Covering one mouth when yawning or sneezing, waiting in line or taking turns. These are all things we have vested in the cultural norms. But you are seeing the cultural norms being the one that are enforcing the gender stereotype that is causing gender-based violence. Then we have economic factors whereby we are looking at poverty and economic disparities can amplify vulnerabilities, whereby people are taking advantage of the opposite sex, whereby the female males are taking advantage of the males because of poverty and economic disparities, whereby they just have to give in for them to be accepted, maybe to be given a job. Or these are some of the things which are the key things which are making individuals more susceptible to violence and exploitations, because they feel like they don't have anything else to do. Same as right now, women are being trafficked all over around the world. This is all contributing to economic factors such as poverty. The reason why they are giving in to be harassed or to be raped. This is all in line with the vulnerability which is driven by poverty. So these are all economic factors that are leading to gender-based violence, whereby they are um, susceptible to violence and exploitations because they feel like they don't have any other choice, which is a huge problem. Then we have lack of education. So we're looking back, the reason why our grandparents and mothers didn't feel like they needed to report anything because there was lack of education, that they didn't even know that they were being harassed, or there was gender-based violence, they were being violated. They didn't know that all those things because they have limited access to education, that may have contributed to ignorance about gender rights, or reinforce harmful stereotypes, fostering an environment conducive to violence, whereby they feel like they didn't have the education, they were limited access to education about what gender-based violence was, and to them it was the new normal of being subjected to violence without knowing that this is a clear violation of human rights, um, being able to do that. So lack of education can also be a contributing factor to gender-based violence. Then we have inadequate legal framework. So looking back, when you look at elements of the legal framework, we are looking at the weak or poorly enforced laws and lack of legal protection contribute to perpetuate of gender-based violence, whereby there was no much protection that was being done when someone was being sexually harassed, or when someone was being treated unequally, psychologically, all the things that we mentioned when we defined what was gender-based violence. So this was a huge issue whereby when you look at the inadequate legal framework, whereby there was no proper documentation, or there were no laws that were enforced that would make sure that someone would be arrested and spend time in jail. There was lack of that legal protection from individuals that were subject to gender-based violence. They didn't have that much cover to protect them against gender-based violence. So that was came being a cause that perpetuated gender-based violence, knowing that there were no laws that were protecting them against gender-based violence. Then looking at media influence, so when you look at the media being playing a crucial role in gender-based violence, because when you look at the media, what it does is that it portrays and trying to normalize the gender stereotypes, whereby the male is being appearing on the media and is beating up the women. So it's something that's become objectification, and the violence can contribute to shaping societal attitude, because the media is the one which influences what happens in society. So it becomes the new normal whereby the media try to portray things and try to show that women are supposed to give in to the men, and they're supposed to be beaten, they're supposed to be done this and this. This thing, this cloud of having the media playing a crucial role influencing people's behavior is a huge issue causing gender-based violence, because it would be like a normal thing to do, and it normalizes those things through their movies, their shows. So it becomes a key contributor of shaping society's attitude, because the attitude is shaped through visualizing what they see and what they try to practice that, and the feeling that these things are all normal when they are not. Then we have power dynamics. This was always a huge issue back in the centuries, whereby power dynamics, whereby we are just having an equal power relations in relationship, whereby the male is supposed to be actually the superior, and institutions were even built on having the other sex having more power, and also in society can create a situation where one gender feels entitled to exert control through violence. And this is what the society uh, is done, because originally the females have been taken advantage by the males, because they feel entitled to extend control over the males, that leading to violence. That's the issue behind power dynamics. This has always been a global phenomenon whereby the males are the one who actually cause violence to the female, which is a huge issue around the world. And we have a summary that we can talk about gender-based violence. So this is becoming a huge issue because we need to look at gender-based violence very, very seriously. We need to stop gender-based violence because we need to address gender-based violence. It requires us to have a comprehensive effort to challenge and change this underlying cause through education. Because education is the only thing that can make people understand that what they're doing is wrong. So we need proper education. Also, we need legal reforms that make sure that those people who does gender-based violence are brought to account. And also, we have to look at culture. We also have to have a cultural shift whereby it wasn't right whereby females were being abused throughout history. We need to have a cultural shift whereby that doesn't happen going forward right now because you're trying to move away from that. Also having and promoting gender equality at levels, at all levels in society, because this is a huge issue. Because society has its own norms. We need to change those norms whereby we have gender equality at all levels of society. So thank you so much for watching this video. I think by now you have a clear understanding what gender-based violence is and the causes of gender-based violence. So with this, I thank you.